I wish you a very happy and prosperous year 2025. And through you, to all the staff working at the Presidential Institution of FASO. I hope that 2025 will be a year full of health for you, your family, and your loved ones, so that you can give your best at work for the happiness of our people. May 2025 be a year where you see all your projects crowned with success, prosperity, and above all, may God guide our actions, protect us, and watch over us throughout the year. I also wish to remind everyone that the fight against imperialism must now be ingrained in our genes. It must be a relentless struggle carried out every day, because many people have not yet understood what this fight is about. Our brave fighting forces are on the ground. They are fighting against manipulated values. These criminals who scour our countryside every day and stand firm to bring peace to our beloved FASO. Just as they do, our hardworking popular masses, such as farmers and herders, are also fighting to achieve food self-sufficiency with the support of all the technicians from the Ministry of Agriculture. This is very important. And just as they are fighting within the administration, we must fight them to change our mindset. This mental decolonization is the most difficult part. And that's why we constantly remind you that we need to change our mindset, return to our roots, and fight. And that is also the fight against imperialism. We are given every opportunity to understand imperialism and its manifestations. When I recently consider Emmanuel Macron's statements about Africa, well, every conscious African should quickly understand everything he has told us and what it means. General Tuan recently spoke about the change in tactics or strategy of the French forces in Africa. I think he came to confirm it. It is about dissolving and maintaining a foundational setup. Emmanuel Macron said it so well that we can only thank him for this sincerity. Even if some wanted to pull the wool over their population's eyes, reality eventually catches up. They will not leave certain countries. They have just dissolved the setup. You will no longer see them in the bases, but in the embassies they will be there. They will form security companies to secure their companies that exist in those countries. But the soldiers will be there. You will no longer see them in uniform or gathered in bases. That's all it means. They will reorganize, but they will be there. He spoke of politeness towards certain heads of state by giving them the priority to announce the break or the departure of the French forces. We don't really care, one might say, but all we know is that if you want to break with the imperialist forces, it's simple. You denounce the agreements. Everything starts from there. I think the example of Chad, in any case, is tangible. They started by denouncing the agreements. Otherwise, if we don't denounce the agreements, just saying that the bases are leaving, we haven't done anything. Because the problem lies in the colonial defense agreements that have been signed since independence. The most dangerous are not those you see on the bases. The most dangerous are the military advisors. Military advisors exist in all these countries. They existed in Burkina as well until the end of 2022, until we took responsibility. And who are these military advisors? They are the ones who are supposed to implement France's policy here. They must work to make our armies very weak, so that France can always have the argument to exist here. Under Blaise Compaoré, they succeeded. Our sentinels stood guard with sticks. That's what France wants from our armies. When we reach this stage, we have no choice but to want them to come and settle. But the Burkina army managed at one point to get rid of the military advisors. Unfortunately, I think that in 2019, after Operation Otapuanu, When the French saw that the Burkina Faso army still had the capacity to respond to terrorism, they called the Chief of Staff to France. They instructed him to reintegrate the military advisors into the entire structure. He did not agree, but upon returning to the country, the politicians instructed him to accept the military advisors. And that's when the military advisors returned to the Burkina Faso army in 2019. With all the consequences we know, the army was on the verge of disappearing in the years 2020-2021. In fact, it was the time when many soldiers had to desert because there was no longer any hope. We were in the process of collapsing. That's a bit how they work at the General Staff headquarters, in all the army headquarters, in the schools. They are the ones who are supposed to dictate the policy of our army. They are the ones who tell us how many to recruit, when to recruit, and what to do with them. They are in the schools to tell us how to train them and so on. As long as these military advisors are there, you are not independent. Your army will just have the appearance of an army that is there performing circus parades. But when war comes, you will realize that parading is one thing, but war is another. The agreements must be broken. It's the only way to have an independent army, to build oneself up and be strong. But many people may not understand this. And even with these agreements, France selects officer cadets from our states to go and train them. It's through these same agreements. But in reality, these officers who go to train, for the most part, for France, they come to serve the French state in their country. They do not come to serve our countries. They train them so that they come to serve the interests of the French state. I can provide evidence of this. When we revolted, many officers in Burkina who were trained in France were immediately contacted to be told that it's time to take action because you were trained for this, to serve France's interests. Most of these officers reported back to us. We took note and we continued to monitor. When an officer trained in France arrives in his country and unfortunately dies either by accident or on the battlefield, in France, there is a night of tribute to the fallen in the army, as there is everywhere else. On the night of tribute to the fallen, the name of the officer in question is mentioned, and it is said, died for France. They do not train him to serve his country. They train him to serve their state. And in many African states, there are plenty of such officers. How many are patriots? God knows. It's a lesson that Emmanuel Macron has once again given to African heads of state to catch up and truly lead this fight against imperialism. But in addition to that, he also insulted all Africans in his remarks. There is a part that caught my attention where he talked about ingratitude, and that ingratitude is a non-transmissible disease to humans. He is human. Our ingratitude is not transmissible to him. This is how this man sees Africa, sees Africans. We are not humans in his eyes. Maybe he is the one who is not human. He does not place himself in the class of humans. But if anyone is truly ungrateful, it is him. I think that if he is not an atheist, and he prays every morning when he wakes up and prays, he should also pray for the Africans. Because it is thanks to our ancestors that there is a France today. He should pray to us. In his eyes, we must not be humans. We are more than humans. These are very strong messages he is conveying. I weep for the French people, but still he is good for Africa. He is a necessary evil for them. Those who want to wake up, wake up. Those who do not want to wake up, as we say, you cannot wake someone who is not asleep. Africans must wake up. We must work towards being independent, to at least ensure that the people know happiness. And the fight against imperialism, that's what it is. We must decolonize mentalities. Take all these factors into account, because the world gives us so many examples to see. For them, there is no morality. They can label you a terrorist today, but tomorrow you are a hero. With just their words, they decide what they do. They talk about democracy, but they themselves carry out constitutional coups among themselves. They talk about human rights, but they decimate populations elsewhere. Africans must wake up. Africa must wake up. And the fight against imperialism is ongoing. I invite you to join this fight, to work so that we are truly independent, self-sufficient, and able to develop, to know happiness, which is what our people aspire to. Thank you. I wish you a very good day, a very good week, and a very good year. And at the end of this year, 2025, when looking back, we should be able to say that we have made a significant contribution to our nation. Thank you very much to everyone. May God bless you, and may God protect our dear homeland. The homeland or death, we shall overcome.